Uncle Gums and David Nguyen. One creep begging for attention from channels like mine, the other hiding as best he can in plain sight. They're just two sides of the same coin, Cyraxx supporters, and that itself being nearly, but not quite as bad as some of their own degeneracies. Today we'll dive into who this Uncle Gums character is and what he's been up to, given his recent appearance in my Cyraxx stream making some alarming claims. We had to cover him. Along with a character with similar ideals, we'll be looking into yet another of his Cyraxx defense videos. The beginning of Greg's infamy in the lolcow community began in the same way he still interacts with people like me, essentially begging for this attention. He'd find himself in larger content creators' comment sections and live chats like Chillas or Kiwi Tapes, or even the dreaded Creeping Lemurs, boasting about pissing off an entire town, bragging about the stuff he gets away with. And for better or for worse, some people did start looking into what this little fellow was talking about. You know, the idea of an entire town being angry with one guy is a little intriguing, to say the least. Uncle Gums wasn't lying either. We'd see multiple different parents and adults from his local town posting all over Facebook and TikTok complaining about this creepy older guy who was getting in contact with their children, then posting their faces in his account without their consent, accompanying said posts with some pretty alarming comments and talking points about their children to boot.
So, one of my friends sent me this creator. I'm going to tag them. He is posting our children. Did you hear me? Our children on his page. He is a known P3DO, and he has our children on his page. So we need to take this page completely down right now. Thank you. This is his page. He has his Snapchat here. This is somebody's child, and all of our kids are down here.
Ranting and raving about how something needs to be done about this guy, that he needs his accounts reported and taken down. You know, make sure your children are aware of the guy, just stay away. Some would even go as far as making vague threats towards the guy, but can you blame them?
If you see this fella out and about, or you know where he lives at, I'm sure he's on some type of registry somewhere. So watch what you do, watch what you say, and don't mess with the kids. Just saying. We know who you are. We know what you look like. One more time, we'll show what you look like so everybody remembers and never forgets what you look like. Because you should be famous. I believe you're going to be famous. More famous than you ever imagined.
A slender, toothless fella spending his nights talking to and posting your kids in very suspicious content. We'll get into exactly what he was talking about in these posts soon too. Then, not only bragging about everything he's doing, but embracing this whole town creep label.
Hell no.
How old are you, Brian?
Oh, he's 13.
Give me that. 15.
Bro.
He prefers them that young.
The guy would even taunt some of the parents, going into their Facebook comment sections to harass them about this supposed hate they were perpetuating. In what world would bugging out on some 50-something freak talking to minors on Snapchat of all places be seen as spreading hate without reason? How could going and taking screenshots of their loved ones in response to calling him out, along with harassing them on Facebook, be appropriate in response to that too? This guy just doesn't think right, completely tapped, and truly obsessed with speaking about and talking to these kids, no matter the cost to his reputation, which later on you'll find he also does simultaneously care a lot about. What exactly were the nature of these posts he was making about the younger fellas? How exactly was he getting them to Snapchat?
This is your Uncle Gums.
The methods String Bean would use to lure the younger demographic over to Snapchat would be through his TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube videos. You see, tweens and teens can't always have the greatest judgment. They come across this older fella, quite honestly embarrassing himself with weird, creepy, and what he would call songs, but really were just poorly written poetry on the internet, rating people or talking about, being your Uncle Gums.
Now before I go, I just gotta say this. I'm your Uncle Gums and you just got dissed.
They'd start interacting with him, whether just as a joke between them and their friends, or just because they found him a little funny, who knows. But he would pull these kids on over from these platforms to his Snapchat with this whole adopt me game idea.
This is your Uncle Gums. Apparently, some of you now want to be unadopted. That's okay. I know it's because of your moms and your dads. You don't really want to be unadopted. You just have to. because if you don't, your parents are going to be mad at you.
A game that would trip some people up in the beginning because there's a Roblox game by that name, but no, he was just quote-unquote adopting them so he could play this weird uncle role. He'd then message them back and forth, getting their photos he'd then go ahead and post with a weird roast, rattling off poorly thought out rhymes in a creepy, whispery tone, and many times being extremely vulgar, talking about their bodies in a way no grown man should be.
This is for Alina. Alina's short. She's 5 foot nothing, dark brown hair, and her butt is bussin'. She says she has a big old back and a big old butt, and a nice little belly in the front. But from what I've seen, none of that is true. Her ass is flat, and she's pretty slim too. That was pretty crazy for this old man to say that, but I'm your Uncle Gumps. I'm just spitting the facts. She said some guy named Wyatt is her boyfriend. I get back from the fields, boy. Seems like you got a pretty nice girl to defend. She's gonna be attracting new boys during the summer, so I would stay on her if you don't want to lose her. Shower her with gifts. Give her affection. This ain't a love song. What was I thinking? Alina. What rhymes with that? I could say cute things, but I'll say this. Rats and bats and rats and bats. Really fast. Hey, did you like that? That was corny. That was for real. I couldn't go off much, 'cause your posts were thin. Probably empty like your head. When the classes you're in. Didn't see too many comments from any of your friends. If you have any. I mean, that all depends. Wyatt. You chose a girl with an empty head. I'm sure she's got a pretty smile. But that's not all that matters, man. Get to know her daddy better, if you haven't already. 'Cause you're gonna need all the support you can handle, should you ask her to marry someday, to make that love trend a happier end. This has been your Uncle Gums, and his rhyme juice is low, so stay tuned. Please come back for more.
Honestly, pretty disgusting despite the legality loopholes he tries his best to dance around in. I'd like you all to keep in mind for a moment, before all these YouTubers finally gave into Uncle Gum's cries for attention, he had already gotten a whole town, essentially, to rally against him at that point. Before the greater internet knew about him, before these big YouTubers formed an opinion on the guy and spread the word about him, he was already very deeply set in his ways, and most likely had been at this for an extremely long time, long enough to have gotten, by his own account, 10 or 15 accounts where he would post like this about minors taken down. Just to really let you all know, this guy's established a very clear pattern for what he gets up to in his free time. There's no fixing this guy. It got to the point in his local community where it wasn't just the parents' outcries bringing awareness to this creep. The school had to put out a PSA warning the community about it.
You're like the town troll.
You guys know that they did a PSA about me?
Yo, what's the PSA? I wouldn't be surprised.
School did.
What's the PSA? Surprised.
They did a
You're like the town's urban legend, dude. Like a folk.
Yeah,
So what's the
to
PSA?
your
bro?
Uncle Gum's house.
Wait, what is the PSA?
When kids see him in the woods, they run away.
In his twisted brain, this was even something to be proud of and started bragging about even. But to anyone sane, it just showcased how obsessed this guy was with talking to younger people he shouldn't be talking to. This should just all put into perspective for you the kind of man we're dealing with here, painting us a good picture of this Jit's character, a character where after all this whining for attention early on, he switched up on and started complaining about how no one was looking at the whole picture. He was just trolling all along and wanted to file a defamation case even to people like Chilla or the creep destroying his character. One already destroyed by himself building this creep persona of his, and even further thrown down the trash chute with his pursuit of friendship with the one and only Cyraxx.
This is your Uncle Gums.
Now, if you remember the whole lawsuit idea Uncle Gums had in his head, he'd spread that delusion to another lolcow, his short-lived buddy Cyraxx. You see, he'd get into contact with Chance one way or another and begin feeding these ideas into Chance that he's losing out on such and such amount of money, that he should go and launch a lawsuit in order to recoup some of the cash he missed out on. Chance, along with Uncle Gums, in their ultimate wisdoms, concluded that Chance, a man who's hardly ever broken 1,000 subscribers on his tons of channels, should have been making upwards of $700,000 a year.
You guys want to know how much I'm really losing out on in a year? Realistically, you guys want to know? I am losing out on anywhere from $500,000 to $1.1 million a year. And that's with merch sales. That's with the drop of my music. That's with my content.
Aside from that stroke of genius they had, Gums would also send Chance this photo of him cosplaying as Cyraxx.
Yo, that's actually sick, dude. Let's go. That's dope, bro. Let's go, man. That's sick.
Chance would clearly be elated by this, strengthening this predator bond they had going on. Unfortunately, this blossoming friendship would have a catastrophic collapse when people began questioning Cyraxx about why he would ever be friends with the type of PDF file Uncle Gums was. As if it wasn't already evident enough having all his creepy shit posted in plain sight on his account, just, out in the open. Cyraxx knew what kind of man Gums was. He didn't care in the slightest. He just didn't want to be called a pred by association. Chancey had to put on this act. He was disgusted by this behavior, and that end of a friendship would give us this great video.
One thing I don't put up with is a copying my goddamn style and doing the shit that I'm doing. This mother sits here and wants to rip off of my style. You, Gum. You ain't gothic. You ain't alternative like I am. Like, bro, I'm literally a country boy that just happens to wear alternative and gothic clothing. Now, let me complete this look right quick. Where did my chain go? There y'all go, motherfuckers.
Let's fast forward to present day. He's still pulling the same shit, both begging for attention and singing and making weird videos about people he talks to on Snapchat. We would see multiple times on my channel Grubbas, Uncle Gums, using his newer Uncle Cosplay account, would learn about the downfall of the creeping lemur. Probably jumping for joy and excitement because that jit must have covered Gums the most. He'd comment under my lemur video saying, Uncle Gums approves this message, because this shit was begging for a photo of the guy and his name, maybe a year ago, so this must have been a big win for him. His comment would be promptly deleted by me. Weeks later, the relentless booger would then hop in my Cyraxx livestream, first asking me to check out his Instagram, then claiming to have sent Cyraxx $50, maybe a callback to his brief friendship or just trying to, yet again, get any little bit of attention he can. I time out that account after chat righteously spammed thumbs down in tomatoes for him. Yo, hold on. Everyone needs to spam a thumbs down in chat. We have Uncle Cosplay, better known as Uncle Gums, in chat. He is, another very creepy guy. Let's say, a very creepy guy, adjacent to the Cyraxx character. He would come back the next day yet again, this time leaving a comment under his new alias, Uncle Looking, and going ahead and adding me and a whole bunch of other YouTubers in one of his corny ass videos. It's really hard to understand though, because this guy clearly absolutely loves getting attention, but in seeking any sort of attention he can grab, he ends up begging for it from someone like me, a fella who's undoubtedly going to hate him, disgusted with his antics, and report him. Someone with somewhat of a growing audience who, I'm not saying to go out of your way to seek this guy out or anything, but an audience who hopefully would report an account that they came across on their own up to anything similar to Uncle Gums. His motives are a little hard to pin down, but I don't think the motives even matter. The actions themselves are telling enough. You'll find him bannovating on YouTube with his new uncle account yet again, or on Instagram very clearly still making posts singing about younger people. The only difference is he's made realizing he has some sort of plausible deniability when he uses these bitmojis instead of their faces, but given his history, it's extremely likely these are still kids he's talking to. I mean, this video on his Instagram, for example, is very worrisome.
Eamon, looking good in that bikini. Eamon, gotta wait about 4 more years till you can see me. When I look into your eyes, I can see tomorrow. And you sitting next to me saying, Uncle Gums, he's so sweet. It's only natural for you to fall for me, even though that I look like I'm 70.
Gotta wait 4 more years until you can see me? But also saying that she looks good, you know, in that bikini. Real sick here, still talking about the bodies of someone who, in this case, is heavily implied to be 4 years younger than 18. Taking a look at her page just because she also commented on that video, the girl is very clearly and evidently not old enough to be even halfway through her high school years. It's just absolutely disgusting to see that he's still up to the same old shit, but it also doesn't seem like much else besides awareness being spread about him has happened. Like, this dude needs to be on the registry. I mean, here he is. He just outright flaunts yet again. He's still talking to these kids.
This is your Uncle Gums. And now I'm on a Snapchat call with some minors. Oh no, call the cops.
Talking to these people he shouldn't be. Speaking about Uncle Gums talking to people he shouldn't be, his reach is so widespread when it comes to talking to these kids on Snapchat that I made an edit that got a measly 200 views on TikTok, and out of those 200 views, 3 of them had spoken to Uncle Gums before, 2 of which I believe were under the age of 18. Now, one of these people would reach out to me and share some information on the contact that they would have, and that's where we'd get this wonderful video of Uncle Gums dancing around. Now, this all looks fun and good, but you've got to keep in mind, this is a guy who's probably nearing 70, who has been caught time and time again talking inappropriately about the bodies of these people. So again, he has no business whatsoever being in this group chat with a whole bunch of people, a large amount of these people being minors. It's disgusting. Other than his usual, he's had this corny Cyraxx Says bit going on for quite a few videos where he just says, you know, hey, stop reporting Uncle Gums or some shit. There's a reason why people report you, Uncle Gums. You should not be on the internet. You don't deserve to be. His own father knows he shouldn't be allowed on the internet for a short while his dad found out about the disgusting antics his son gets up to on the internet. He forced him to abstain from it. Unfortunately, not for too long though. Enough about this town creep. Again, don't go out of your way to find someone like this, but if you guys come across something like this on your own, see something, say something, you know, report these kinds of accounts. It's super easy to do. I've had enough of Gums though. Moving forward, we have another known Cyraxx supporter.
The reason that I want to become a porn star.
Bit of a creep himself. I'd have to recommend my last video on him if you aren't familiar with him already. But this cornball David would go on earlier this week to make a new YouTube account posing as Tanya Rodriguez, a Latina woman, and post an 11-minute long rant about why he fully supports Cyraxx. This long yap session, starting and finishing with no real point, I'll summarize real quick for us. He starts off whining about how Chance has the right to, you know, the whole stand your ground thing, which fades away when you realize ICE would have no reason to be in his house, and he threatened to unalive federal agents essentially out of the blue without reason. Then he critiques ICE, calling them not real law enforcement because of the little training they receive. But ignoring your opinions on ICE, of course, their power and law enforcement titling is very much real. Then finishes off the video crying about libs of TikTok's treatment of the little PDF file goblin. Again, a move he's done as an act of solidarity between himself and these other lolcows, because while still a lot more niche than some of the others, in his eyes he's treated very similar online to these fellas, seeing a bit of himself in every predator he tries desperately to defend. This channel, with a new name and different voice changer than before, is just a desperate attempt at this point, trying to avoid Cyraxx's detractors from finding out who he really is. Shortly before my last video on him gained some traction, his last Cyraxx defense channel was just his full name with a number at the end, but would promptly be changed to Crowbar Nation after my video came out. A similar act to try and hide his identity from the Goblin's trolls, but would also go on to try and taunt William Gloryhole. doesn't make much sense to feign this confidence but also run and hide at the same time. He always seems so confident he's got his identity on lockdown and that the trolls will never find out who he really is, but never seems to remember the school IDs he used to post of himself with his full legal name on them, and the videos like this one matching with, the ID. That leads us to believe that we do in fact have the right person. Aside from his constant new cow defense videos, we also have him up to his usual of adding his own alias as a feature in a song, and lip-syncing it in his bedroom with some flashing Christmas lights. He actually keeps getting his newer accounts taken down immediately, so I'll just have to show you an example of what he makes, but he has this fundamental misunderstanding of how copyright works. He dropped this long-ass Reddit post, putting that on full display, disagreeing with his therapist who's seen his videos and calls out his blatant TOS and copyright violations that are getting the videos taken down. As usual, he thinks he knows better than the therapists, knows better than his detractors, and he'll just never change. Much like Uncle Gums, these PDF files, lolcow defenders, creeps of the internet really, just won't ever change. Don't seem capable of change. All we can do is sit back and watch them ruin their own lives, their own reputations, from a distance. Well, if you liked today's video, subscribe to see more shit like this. We also have these wonderful membership badges and emotes for anyone who wants to join and be a pure grub to support the channel. Anyways, thanks for making it to the end, I really appreciate it. Later, Grubbas.